The Paralysis of Choice, a philosophical reflection on inaction in an age of abundance. In an era defined by abundance, freedom, and infinite possibility, one might assume that human life has never been more empowered. We are told we can be anything, go anywhere, and shape our identities in ways previous generations could scarcely imagine. Yet, in this seemingly utopian age of choice, a peculiar and growing affliction haunts us: the inability to decide. We stand in front of endless doors, uncertain which to open until they all begin to close. This phenomenon, often called decision paralysis, is not merely a psychological issue, but a profoundly philosophical one. It forces us to confront the paradox of freedom and the existential weight of choice. At the root of this paralysis lies a tension between possibility and action. The modern self is defined not by fixed roles or inherited paths, but by the open-ended obligation to make something of oneself. As existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre observed, humans are condemned to be free, not because freedom is a curse, but because it imposes the unrelenting burden of responsibility. Every decision becomes a declaration of who we are and what we value. In choosing one path, we must necessarily forgo others. Each act of commitment entails loss, and it is often this loss, not the decision itself, that frightens us into inaction. Our cultural landscape reinforces this paralysis. Capitalist societies thrive on the illusion of endless optimization: the best career, the most fulfilling relationship, the ideal morning routine. Choice is no longer just a mechanism of autonomy, it becomes a metric of success. The more options we have, the more we believe that one of them must be perfect, and in the pursuit of perfection, we are frequently left with nothing but hesitation and self-doubt. This is compounded by the architecture of modern digital life. Streaming platforms, dating apps, job portals all offer us boundless options, but little help in discerning value. Philosopher Barry Schwartz, in The Paradox of Choice, suggests that too much choice leads not to liberation, but to anxiety, dissatisfaction, and regret. We second-guess ourselves not because the chosen option is bad, but because we are haunted by the ghosts of better alternatives. We live in a state of anticipated regret, fearful that our decision might lead to a lesser life than what might have been. Yet this condition is not new. The Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome, such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, warned against being swayed by the external world and its endless contingencies. Their antidote was inner discipline and moral clarity, a life guided by principles rather than options. For the Stoics, freedom lay not in the breadth of choices available, but in the strength to choose wisely, with courage and equanimity. In contrast, modern paralysis often stems from a lack of inner compass. We mistake external choice for internal direction. The danger of prolonged indecision is that it becomes a way of living by default. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger spoke of fallenness, the tendency of individuals to be absorbed in the anonymous routines of society, avoiding authentic engagement with their own existence. Inaction, then, becomes a form of self-forgetting. By refusing to choose, we relinquish authorship of our lives. We become spectators rather than participants. But there is hope. The remedy to decision paralysis is not more certainty or data, but a reorientation of values. Kierkegaard, writing on the leap of faith, understood that some decisions cannot be made with full rational assurance. Life demands leaps, moments when we act not because we are certain, but because we trust in the meaningfulness of the act itself. In choosing, we create meaning. In committing, we begin to understand ourselves. We must learn to embrace imperfect action over perfect stasis. Moreover, we must learn to forgive ourselves for choosing wrong. Mistakes, failures, and missteps are not signs of a wasted life, but of a lived one. To be human is to err, to revise, to grow. The fantasy of the perfect choice is often a refusal to engage with the messiness of reality. True freedom, as the existentialists remind us, is not the absence of constraints, but the willingness to act meaningfully within them. In conclusion, the paralysis of decision is not just a side effect of modern complexity, it is a symptom of our deeper existential condition. It asks us to confront who we are, what we value, and how we wish to live. The abundance of options should not distract us from the necessity of action, for in the end, it is not the choices we face that define us, but the choices we make.